So this is yet another normal flat ceiling room. Nothing spectacular about it. So the product we're going to use is under the room catalog, architectural elements, excuse me, wall ceiling, and its angle ceiling. There are a few other things. There's one other that I will cover briefly. This is an angled ceiling with skylight and spots. Now, the unfortunate thing about it is the spots are not active. They do not have lights in them. It would be nice, but there are no native lights in 2020 that can be angled to the same angle as the ceiling. I believe the newer ones can be, but they're a little bit difficult to orient. I will try one in just a few minutes. So this comes in as a default size of 10 by 10, and come on. And of course our ceiling is still turned on, so I'm going to turn off the ceiling. So in order to use anything other than the default ceilings, you need to turn the ceiling off. You need to make it invisible. So there we are, there's our ceiling. Now, of course, it's not touching any walls because we haven't changed them yet. It comes by default with 3 skylights that I think are 2 by 3 and 3 recessed cam lights. You can leave those cam lights on for looks. I don't personally do that. I actually use the underground catalog, and that's why one of the prerequisites for this was optionally the underground catalog. If you don't have it, I highly recommend it. Let me know in the chat if you don't have it. I will send a link along with the replay link. I highly recommend it. It has some really cool stuff in it. But the lights, the shapes, everything can be turned on all 3 axes. So you can turn it on the I believe it's the y-axis to make it conform to the ceiling. It takes a little bit of doing. It's not super easy to do. It takes a little patience, but it is definitely doable. So let's see. Make sure everybody's still with me. Yep. Looks like we had one more join us. Great. So one of the things that we have to do is we have to make the walls tall enough to meet this. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go into the attributes and show you the different things you're working with. So you're working with the up down from the floor, which if you have 92-inch ceilings, you want to use 92. We have 96-inch ceilings, it defaults to 96. And then the height is the height from there to the highest point. So the default is 50 inches, and it's by default 10 by 10. So we are 144, so I'm gonna actually go ahead and let it expand, and it should, yeah, it actually went beyond it, which is fine. And so 8 plus, yeah, so it ends up at around 12 feet. So I'm gonna leave that way, and I'm just gonna leave that like that. I'm gonna actually bring this down to 2 larger skylights. So I have 2 skylights. I'll leave the spots in there, what the heck. And I want them to be 24 by 36. So I made those larger, and it makes the ceiling 10 inches thick so that it gives you some depth, like a normal skylight would give you a little bit of depth there. And another thing I'm going to do that a lot of people don't realize is possible, and that is this rim that's around here actually doesn't work real well. It actually shows up when it shouldn't. So I'm going to make that rim, that's under textures, and that is under molding texture. So I'm going to click, and I'm going to go none. I'm gonna say okay. And now that rim is gone. And I'll show you in the, so that rim is gone. So now we still have to deal with our wall heights. So I'm simply going to make these 3 walls 144 inches. Again, it doesn't matter what it looks like above the top of the wall, above the ceiling, I should say. So we want to go there, go here, and we want to go here. Apply, okay. Oops. And now we're, should be completely enclosed, except for the fact that we're actually 150 inches. I'm sorry, 50 inches, not 48. So I'm actually a couple of inches off. So I'm actually going to go I'm going to just go even 150, because again, it doesn't matter. And that should have taken care of that little gap that's at the top. There we go. So now we have a room that has a cathedral ceiling with 2 skylights. Another issue. What happens if you have a skylight that's off center? This is something that that has come up a couple of times. Now see, that looks like that light's generating light, doesn't it? Oh no, you know what? I think that's the auto light. I'm gonna have to investigate that, because I was playing with this before we got on the call and I didn't see light sources coming from those. Anyway, so what if you have one, sorry, I completely got lost here. There we go. What happens if you have one skylight that's off center? Because what happens with this is, if you do one skylight, it centers it. Unfortunately, there's no way around that. And quite honestly, there's actually a master bath I'm designing right now that has a skylight that is 4 feet from one end of the room and 10 feet from the other end. So what you can do in that case is simply take where the center of the skylight's supposed to be. Let's say the center of the skylight is supposed to be, pardon me, is supposed to be 4 feet off of the left-hand wall. So what I will do is, if the center is at 4 feet, that means that the ceiling should be 8 feet. So I'm going to make this ceiling 8 feet wide. Now that skylight is centered on that 8 feet. And I'm going to, okay, and that actually went over by itself. Now, because I've already changed a few things, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. And then I'm going to paste it over here. So then we need the difference between 8 and 12, which is 4. And then I need to get rid of the skylight. So under variables, under quantity, I put skylight quantity 0. And under general, I will make this 48 inches wide. And I'm going to leave the spots for now. You can take them out if you want. So now I'm going to move this into here. Hopefully it will cooperate, and it did. So what happens when we go in and look, other than 2 lights being right next to each other, which is less than ideal, kind of ugly, but we have a situation where our skylight is off center, and you can't tell that there are 2 pieces of ceiling there. The key to that working is, remember that molding setting that I showed you? The key to that is turning that off, because if that molding setting were still turned on, you'd have this band of white and 2 pieces of them just kind of side by side there. So I'll show you that again.